Okay, today we're going to be discussing how to evaluate websites, just so that you know kind of basically anyone can post a website. The World Wide Web is not monitored, so therefore it's your job to evaluate websites and determine which are useful and scholarly sources. So today we're going to start off with thinking about some of even how to get into the internet. Some of you may be familiar with Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, or Netscape Navigator. Each of these browsers uses a different, has kind of a different screen here. This is actually Mozilla Firefox, and as you can see, there's kind of the file, edit, view, history, bookmarks all across the top. Internet Explorer has a similar format, as does Netscape Navigator. Each one has a different way of kind of working, and really it's whatever kind of your preference is. The Mozilla Firefox is what I tend to use. It actually is noted for not capturing as many viruses off the internet. One thing I just want to pull up here is kind of noting the history. When you go into history, you can actually note some of the websites that have been previously that a recent user has gone to. This actually could be important information to consider when you may be sharing a computer either at your work site or elsewhere in terms of ethics. You have a client that you're working with, perhaps that's HIV positive. You're reviewing some websites and some resources for that client. Another coworker comes up and uses that same terminal and then questions, assumes that maybe perhaps your client is HIV positive, and perhaps that's confidential information between you and that client and not between you and your coworker if they're not on the same team as you. So just important things to kind of be thinking about in terms of noting the history there, history button. Okay, so let's start thinking about some of the search engines that currently are used. I think Google, Ask, Yahoo, MSN, Safari, Dogpile are pretty common search engines. As you may know, each search engine kind of works differently. So let's start with how search engines work. When you run a search, you're kind of searching like a frozen copy, and when you click on the results, you are getting the most updated version of that web page. And so what happens is sometimes you might actually, sometimes that's why that link doesn't work in terms of the page clicking in. So let's start with how do search engines work. When you run a search, you're just searching a frozen copy of a web page, and at times that web pages might be updated, and so sometimes if you've noted you click on the web page and it doesn't actually link you to it. That's actually an important observation to note in terms of the evaluation piece. Is the website current? Is it maintained? And is that something that someone is working on continuously for that organization? Search engines crawl through web pages to get to other pages, and if a page is not connected to another web page, then the engine will not find it. If there's a new website created, then someone must actually send the URL to the search engine company and ask to be included in the database. This often goes with a cost, something you should consider when you type in a search and you're looking for something. Are you getting the most popular websites that people go to? Are you getting the most useful information? Are you getting the most current information? Again, all things that you should consider in this evaluation process. So this actually is a good website to review, and this is noted in the lecture if you're kind of following along, but you might just want to check into the ways that actually Google, Yahoo, and Exelead are used to kind of look at how these search engines work, how large they are, what are some of the phrasing, searching, using quotation, Boolean logic, which is addressed when you're thinking about a library search. So here is actually kind of a good resource to consider. Okay, when you guys get to a web page, the first thing you should actually do is consider reading the entire web address. So www.socialworkers.org. Consider reading the last the website domain so that you can kind of see, is it an organization, a .org? Is it a commercial or for-profit organization with a .com? Is it linked to educational institutions with a .edu, governmental with a .gov, military, international? This does not mean because it's a .org or because it's a .edu or a .gov that it's more reliable, but it is something that you should consider in terms of your evaluation process. One thing that I think we don't think about when we're going to websites, but it becomes clear when in this. One thing I don't know that we always think about in terms of visiting websites is that really the purpose of the website is to sell us something. It has a purpose, right? It's to sell us something, to educate, to inform us, to persuade us, explain something, share, disclose. It has a purpose. It has a goal. You should be considering that when you're viewing these websites because it may actually lead you to think about websites in terms of their objectivity. Is this an objective source? Or is this a specific point of view that's being presented? If you're doing something where you're wanting one specific view, then it's okay not to be objective. But if you're presenting material in terms of an objective manner, referring someone to a website that only has one perspective is really not a useful way of using that material. So one of the first things you should do, as I said, when you get to the website is to check out their web address and then really scan the entire web page. Check out the links about us. Look at the philosophy, the background, the contact us. Where is this organization located? Do they have an actual address or are they just kind of this only in the virtual world do they exist? When was this page last created and updated? Links to other sites. Does it have other related links? Does it have advertisements for other products? What are those products? So again, kind of scanning the entire website is a good place to start. And then really break it down and kind of focus on the following. Thinking about looking at the accuracy, the reliability of the information, free from errors, the authority, who are the authors, are they listed, what is their background, their knowledge, their credentials. Again, what is the purpose of this website? What is their mission? Objectivity, does it appear biased or slanted? Does it present several points of view or only one perspective? The currency, looking for the last updated date. Any related links? Do those links work? And what do those links take you to? Other educational websites, other commercial websites. Again, that's okay to be commercial or educational or governmental, but what type of links are they taking you to? And of course, contact information. Is there a way to get in touch with this organization? When we think about reliability and validity, this kind of is more of a research base, but reliability is the findings remain consistent with each report. So every website that maybe you're going to on a specific topic, the findings appear to be consistent or similar. If they're not consistent, that's actually okay, but because there may be actually new reasoning or new information presented to explain this difference. The validity is the accuracy and truthfulness of the report. So kind of thinking about that is does this website appear reliable or valid, in your search as you're searching several different websites around this topic. So when you're running a search, an important thing to do is not just to look at the first hit you get when you go into Google, but search the top 10, search the top 20. What are the difference between those websites? The use of Wikipedia is often an interesting topic. Wikipedia defines itself as a project. Any individual can add or delete, update information about a specific topic. It contains often interesting information. It is a great way to gather search terms or definitions of topics. It's a great place to start. It's not a good place to cite, especially in an academic or scholarly setting.